Hey, welcome back. It's Nolan Mathias from Mortgage 360, and today we're discussing, well, the fact that the Canadian real estate market just went from bad to worse because we are now in a situation where things that were previously intended to protect buyers and sellers are being debated as the things that are actually hurting them. Yes, we're going to talk blind bidding, why blind bidding exists, what the proposed changes are, and ultimately how you can avoid the whole situation altogether. But before we get into it, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. And don't forget about our new race to 25,000 subscribers, where when we hit 25,000 subscribers, we are going to give away $5,000 to one lucky winners, TFSA or RRSP, just for subscribing to this channel. So go ahead, click that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, and I told you the next contest, we're gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. Wait till you see what happens when we hit 100,000 subscribers, but go ahead and click that subscribe button because it's free, it's easy, and it's definitely worth it. The definitive guide on how to manage your credit. Product, penalty, price, in that order. It's never been more important to get your mortgage right. All right, so let's get into it because as we've seen over the last couple of days here, the news is talking about blind biddings and that being the problem in the Canadian real estate market. No, it has nothing to do with supply, nothing to do with demand. It's blind bidding that is creating all the issues. And today I'm going to discuss really why blind bidding exists. I'm going to talk about the proposed changes, why that may help, why it may also hurt, and really what you can do to avoid the whole situation altogether. And if we jump into the news, we take a look right now at the Financial Post. We're going to look at the Financial Post today, not just Bloomberg, but you look at the Financial Post and they've got an article up today, Sold Over, asking why homes are being sold for far more than their listing price. And it goes through a whole bunch of reasons, including blind bidding and the problems with blind bidding. And then if we jump over to BNN Bloomberg and we look at the comments from the National Bank CEO recommending the axing blind bidding altogether. You know, I think the sentiment is clearly there that blind bidding is part of the problem in Canadian real estate right now. And just so everyone's on the same page, what blind bidding is when you go to write an offer on a property and there's multiple bids, the selling realtor is actually prohibited from telling the other buying realtors how much each bid is for. So they can't say, well, hey, so-and-so's bid 550,000, so you should up your bid. All they can say is that they've got 5 bids on the property and to act accordingly. And the whole reason that this rule exists, and by the way, these rules are mandated across provinces. So this is not national rules that affect this. The individual provinces would have to apply to their real estate acts in order to change these, or apply the changes to the real estate acts in order to change these. This isn't something that is done at a federal level, although it could in theory be done at a federal level. But the reason why blind bidding exists is because the original intention of it was to protect the buyers and the sellers, because what was happening back in the 70s or the 80s or whenever these rules came into place, and they're pretty much in place across North America, is realtors would go and they would say to a buyer, well, I've got a bid for $450,000 on it, and they'd find another buyer who was interested in the property, and they would say, okay, well, I got a bid at 450. What will you bid? And then that person would bid 460, and then the other person would bid 470, and then the other person would bid 480. And with the selling realtor being able to tell the other realtors how much the bids were, they basically created a scenario where they could keep bidding the price up until everybody decided that the price was too much. So the blind bidding system was put into place so that that couldn't happen. It was simply a matter of putting a bid in that was your highest price that you were willing to pay for that particular property. And then whoever was willing to pay the highest price was the one who got it. And there was no bidding war. There was no back and forth. Now, you can still do a live auction for a house in Canada. That is something that is totally legal. But for the most part, when houses are listed on the MLS, they are done through this blind bidding system. And in a normal market where things aren't crazy, it works really, really well, because if two people in a normal market where houses are typically sold for under list price find a house that they both want, they both put in their best and final offer, and whichever one is higher wins. So in a normal market, it works really, really well, and it protects the buyers from being able to find themselves in a situation where the housing price is getting bid up and up and up and up. But what happens in this crazy sort of market that we're in right now is you end up in a scenario where everyone is just expecting that the house is going to be bid up because there's 20, 30, or 40 offers on it. And the Financial Post article that I showed you, it actually had a rule that I haven't heard, but a rule of thumb that it sounds like is happening in Ontario, where for each bidder, you bid 5% over the ask price. So if there's four bidders, you bid 20% over the ask price. And if there's 10 bidders, you bid 50% over the ask price. So 5% for every additional bidder that you're competing against. Now, I haven't heard that rule. And quite frankly, I think it's quite ludicrous. If you're bidding 5% over the ask price for every single offer that they are receiving, you are almost certainly going to win out and buy that property. But here's my problem with what's being proposed is they want to propose axing blind bidding altogether. And what that does is it creates that problem of that seller's realtor being able to go and basically bid up the housing price. So who's to say if people are buying for $40,000 over list price right now, and they're winning with that substantially higher offer than what everyone else is offering, who's to say that if somebody else didn't have perfect information, they wouldn't come and bid at $45,000 over ask? Or another party wouldn't come and bid at $50,000 over ask if they had the perfect information of knowing what was going on. So, these rules exist for a reason. And the reason why they typically exist is because in the past, there was another problem. And it turns out in the past, the problem was having a seller who could say to all the other bidders that the other bid prices were this, effectively created the same situation that we're trying to prevent by changing the rule to an open bidding system, which is that massive run up in prices because of a bidding war. So I don't necessarily think that changing the rules is a good idea, but what I do know is that for the average consumer, the best way to stay out of a bidding war is not to participate. We all have the option not to participate in these bidding wars. And if you are in a position where you own a house right now and the market is hot, my recommendation is don't sell your house and find yourself in a position where you have to get into a bidding war on another property. Just don't participate, because here's what happens in these crazy markets. Happened in 2007 in North America after 9/11 happened, the Fed lowered interest rate, the Bank of Canada lowered interest rates, and there was that run up in housing prices. And there was these bidding wars happening across the country back then. And at the end of the day, these bidding war markets only last typically 2 to 3 quarters. So if you are in the process of, thinking about putting your house up for sale, or you're in the process of entertaining these bidding wars, if you've got the ability to wait for 6 to 9 months, just wait. Because while prices may not come down, I can assure you of one thing. There is going to be a cooling in the craziness in the market in the very near future. And what that means is that you won't necessarily have to participate in this craziness of blind bidding. So, my recommendation to most people is just don't participate. If you don't need to buy a house right now, just stay out of the market. And if you do, we'll do everything you need to in order to get into the market. We can't recommend that you write an offer without a financing condition, because obviously you are part of the mortgage approval process, but the property is also a big part of that. And we never know how a lender or an insurer is going to react to a property, or if it is even going to appraise for what you paid for it if you find yourself in that blind bidding situation where you're paying $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 over ask. So my opinion on this whole thing is we don't need to change the rules. We don't need to axe blind bidding. In fact, if we axed it, I think we could see even further run-ups in prices. I think what really needs to happen here is we need to be smart about it. And if you're a consumer, just don't participate, because at the end of the day, if you are moving up and you're selling a house and moving into a bigger house, you are always better off to do that when the market is down than when it is up. And you're definitely way better off doing that when the market is in a place where there isn't massive bidding wars, because every single penny that you lose on the smaller price property, you're going to pick up an appreciation down the road on the bigger property. And the bigger the property that you have down the road, where you were able to buy it at a depressed price or buy it when you weren't in a bidding war, you are going to gain in further appreciation over and above what the property that you sold was. So stay out of these bidding wars. The easiest way for these bidding wars to go away is not for the rules to change, because that could just make the problem worse, as it typically does when governments and bureaucracies get involved. Just stay out of the market. Don't participate if you don't have to, and just wait for the market to cool down, because it absolutely will. Hey, so if you found this video useful, we've got a couple things to offer you. First and foremost, we're offering 2 courses. The first is the Secrets to Getting the Lowest Interest Rate course, which you can use the coupon code in the description below and the link in the description below to get that course for 50% off the already discounted price. The second course that we've got going is the First Time Homebuyers Bootcamp, which is starting today, but you still have time to get in on it. You can use the link in the description below. That bootcamp, that course, you're going to be part of the founding class where you get to help me build and develop the information that is delivered. And it is going to be not only an amazing course and the single best resource for first-time homebuyers and homebuyers in general in Canada when I'm done with it, but you will be able to be a part of it and have it built custom to you and what you need, along with the other participants in the course. And if you found this video useful, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and please hit that like button so more people like you can see this video. And don't forget about our new race to 25,000 subscribers. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.